While visiting Alexandria, Virginia, I wanted to go to a cemetery that had a lot of historical significance, and I found one. Freeman Cemetery. Federal authorities established a cemetery here for newly freed African Americans during the Civil War. So this talks all about Freedmen Cemetery. And I'm going to look over several plaques, but I won't read the plaques in their entirety. But this one says Graves under South Washington Street. This is a plaque actually on the ground right before you get into the main part of the museum. Oh, not the museum, but the cemetery. And here is the entrance to the cemetery. You'll see a plaque as well. And the cemetery was established in 1864. And it's so much significance to this cemetery. But before we get too far from the entrance, I'm gonna talk a little bit about it. And the fence that you just saw. So memorial fence, the metal fence around the memorial echoes the design of the original white wooden picket enclosure thought to have surrounded Soldiers Cemetery, today known as Alexandria National Cemetery during the Civil War. The arch entrance to the memorial reminds visitors of the arches depicted in photographs of Union soldiers' encampments in Alexandria during the war. So it talks all about the fence and the arch entrance we just saw. Immediately we go to the sculpture. So the sculpture, I'm going to talk a little bit about that too, but first I want you to just get it all in and just see the beautiful sculptures. It has so much significance and it tells so many different stories without saying a word. It means so much, and this has so much value to this lovely cemetery and memorial. And I'm going to look at some of the plaques as well, as I mentioned before. Now you'll see that some of the writing is fairly little, but please feel free to definitely pause, zoom, and take in the words that you see here on the different plaques. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more too. So the place of remembrance, stone walls enclose a plaza for reflection and display bronze tablet inscribed with the names of those buried in the cemetery as written in the original record book. Icons are styled as descendants are identified, making this a living memorial. Interpretive panels provide insight to the lives and contributions of the contrabands and freedmen who made their way to Alexandria. So that talks about that. Look at that beautiful sculpture right there. It tells so many stories without saying a word. I'm telling you, it's so much history there, and there's more words. So you'll see a lot of that here. Before we go too far away, I want to talk about the path that we saw while I was walking into the cemetery, and when I walked into the cemetery that led to the sculpture. So they call that the central path. Archaeological investigation at the site discovered evidence of a path that was likely used by carts carrying the dead. Appropriately, it became the pathway into the memorial. So that path that you saw when we first came in, look, it just it has so much history in it. It was there before they even did all the huge renovations to the memorial, and they believe it was used to help the carts carrying the dead. And there are over 1,700 people buried here at this cemetery memorial. So that gives you some kind of insight into how many people that are actually buried here. And I didn't go over every square inch of the grass, but there are a lot of gravestones here, and there are a lot of people here. And I think it's definitely something that people should know about. I I didn't know anything about this cemetery before I came to Alexandria and actually researched to find out some historical significance in the area. Nothing. So just having the knowledge of this is here, it means a lot. And I want to share that knowledge with you so that one day, if you're in the area, you can actually go visit and just take in the history and the reflection and the plaques and just everything there is to take in. Well, we're looking at this sculpture, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. The bronze statue serves as a focal point that beckons visitors into the memorial. The Path of the Thorns and Roses, designed by Mario Chedida, portrays a spiraling journey through oppression, struggle, sacrifice, loss, and compassion It accumulates in hope as depicted by the sculpture's highest figure holding a rose that has yet to bloom. Magnificent. It just talks so much more about this sculpture and gives you more insight into what it actually represents. And so as we're looking at the gravestones here, you see they have many different gravestones. We're going to look at we're going to talk more about the gravestones. Rows of stones flush with the ground mark the locations of graves discovered by archaeologists. Of the 1711 burials known to be present on the site, from historical records, archaeological investigation identified 631. Whoa. So all these stones we see, they only identified 631 out of 1,711 burials. Additionally, burials are likely present in areas not tested in archaeological. Each is marked to ensure future preservation on the south side of the path. 5 hexagonal shapes reminiscent of the outlines of the underlying coffins disintegrate 2 adults and 3 children. The smaller outlines underscore the vulnerability of infants and children under the age of 16, who compose more than 50% of the burials. So that's just a lot of insight right there into exactly what it means. It says, again, the smaller outlines underscore the vulnerability of infants and children under the age of 16, who comprise more than 50% of the burials. That's just a lot. That's so significant. I'm also going to include some pictures, which you'll see in a few moments. And they may have like some snapshots of the plaques and the sculpture, so you'll see those more in detail. So feel free to actually pause and look at those more in detail as well. And I'll read a little bit more. It says, in 2014, the city of Alexandria dedicated the Contrabands and Freedmen Cemetery Memorial, which restored honor and dignity on the final resting place of a forgotten people. Through efforts of the Friends of Freedmen Cemetery, descendants, archaeologists, historians, and the city of Alexandria, this cemetery is now a place of remembrance and reflection. So, what sacrifices they took to make sure this is done, and they made sure that the buried here were not lost. And hopefully, one day we'll know more of the names. But for right now, we'll take that we do know that they're being honored in such a special way. Well, ending the video, I want to thank you so much for watching and stay tuned for more videos coming up in the future. I'll try to get more longer content out and just enjoy some of the shorts I'm posting on a day-to-day basis. But thank you so much for watching and you have a great day. And don't forget, in the heart of history represents history in so many ways. And I just want you to be educated on what we had in the past. And thank you so much.